Let's get to Dan Quinn and Jayden Daniels talking about how frustrated they were from tonight.
I think in September football, Dave, there is some. With disappointment, I want to make sure the identity and the style that we want to play is right. I can live with the mistakes. How fast can we get back to correcting them? And you're in game 2 and 3 and 4, that early piece, like sometimes those go not like you want. I just want to make sure our attitude, our style of finishing is right. And that's what I want to make sure we can get done. It just wasn't to the spot that I would like that to be at. Even on a game where it doesn't go your way, I want to see the finishes. I want to see those plays and all 3 phases, and we just didn't have enough of those tonight.
You keep mentioning the attitude. Did you feel like they gave up at a certain point?
Never. I'm talking about just our attitude and play style and the way we want to finish plays and the tackling, creating turnovers, finishing drives. So, yeah, by no means like these guys are as tough as you get. I saw guys just absolutely battling through it and not wanting to tap in any space, and guys coming back, and so. It was costly for us, and we'll regroup, like I said, Monday, but the fight, I don't question. When I'm talking about the finish, I just want to see the more downfield plays on all phases.
It's going to be a big loss, but, we got guys that got to step up and are more than capable of stepping up. But, it's always tough, losing veteran players.
What were you seeing out there in terms of finding receivers?
They did a great job of their scheme. And it's a really good football team. So at the end of the day, it's only week 2. We'll learn from that. We got to get better. It's a long season.
Did you face a pass rush like that last year in terms of the aggressiveness there?
They're good. They're good players. I wouldn't go back and try to compare them to anybody. It's a good defense, a good team, well coached.
You guys get that Debo kickoff up to midfield. How tough was it to not be able to convert any points in the rest of the start of that?
The name of the game is scoring points, and they score more than us, so super tough.
Clearly a frustrated bunch there. I mean, the thing that stuck with me is how Jayden over and over said how frustrated he was, how they executed, how better the scheme was. But at the same time, guys, I can hear you in my ear. Somebody's mic is open back there. But the thing that really stood out was Jayden saying nobody's going to hit the panic button. And maybe it helps a little that you have this little bit of a break and then they'll get back out there. Yeah. It's week 2, man. And as much as I think you and I are frustrated because that was just a subpar game. They just really were incapable of moving the ball like we've seen this team perform. But it is week 2, and it is a long season, and they are still working in a lot of new parts. And maybe Green Bay is just really good, and they got smoked by a really good team. I thought Jayden, he also said, it starts with me. I think no matter what, the ownership, the accountability is what we expect from him. They're way more pissed off than we are, than the fans are in the chat. You know what I mean?
And we appreciate everyone who's there. I do think that this was, outside of the games that Jayden played with the broken rib, it was probably his worst game. And I don't know that it was necessarily even on Jayden, but he wasn't particularly accurate. He didn't have guys that were open to throw.
Nobody got open. There was no separation.
And that was a real problem. Even when Cliff Kingsbury tried to dial up some of those chip blocks for the O-line, for Josh Connerly and company, you had a bunch of those guys miss, and Parsons is.
Connerly had a rough night. Let's be real.
Connerly absolutely had a rough night.
And then you lose Bates,
right,
which really doesn't help.
Parsons is an elite player,
right?
But you had Jeremy McNichols swing and miss on a couple of those chip blocks, middle of the game, late in the game when they had a chance to kind of make a comeback. We talked about Cliff and Joe Witt having tough days. I think you also have to talk about Dan Quinn. Something that he was so good at last year, and this team was so good at last year, were those end of half, end of game moments. Yeah. And you had it right out here at the 45-yard line, right behind us. All of a sudden, you had a minute left, and they get a holding penalty. They run the clock instead of they had 3 timeouts.
Electing to run the clock is the first kind of chicken-ass move we've seen.
Yeah.
Because that was solely done to not get Green Bay the ball back.
Right.
The fact that you're running the clock while you're on offense with timeouts is – we would kill Ron for that.
It's playing scared.
It's totally – yeah, it's the avoid disaster playbook.
But it's also your favorite. Attack success.
It's the opposite. Totally.